renew, reconnect, live, laugh, in love, connections, dream, getaway experiences. Brave Heart Workshops, unique getaways live with Jill Reynolds.
The Connection Show, Restore, Renew, and Reconnecting Community, sponsored by Brave Heart Workshops live with Jill Reynolds. And today on my show is Sinead Smyth from California. Welcome, Sinead.
Hi, thanks, Jill. Great to be with you.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you. And just so the audience knows a little bit about you, I'd like to read your bio to them so they know who you are. Sinead is a licensed marriage and family therapist, master trainer in the research-based Gottman Method Couples Therapy, and is a consultant with the Gottman Institute. She's the owner and clinical director of East Bay Relationship Center in Pleasanton and Alameda, California. She started the center to provide the highest quality relationship counseling in the East Bay. She has selected a highly skilled team of therapists who she's worked with for several years. They all come from different backgrounds but share a common purpose and goal: to provide their clients with the most effective research and evidence-based therapies for their relationship issues. Sinead works with individuals and groups seeking to improve their most important relationships. She trains therapists in the United States and Europe in the Gottman Method Therapy and presents to leadership teams and organizations on relationship topics. The methods she uses are the culmination of 40 plus years of research with 3,000 couples, the most extensive studies ever done on relationship stability and satisfaction. She relies on the best, meaning the most extensive research-based and evidence-based methods to help partners strengthen and find meanings in their relationships. So, what a wonderful bio, and I would love the audience to get a feel for who you are personally and what led you into this field of work.
Yeah, so very long story, Jill, so I'll try and make it as short as I can. So I originally hail from Ireland, and I came to the US almost 100 years ago, not quite 100 years ago, 20 plus years ago, and settled in California. And in Ireland, I was practicing as a family lawyer. I was an attorney. And so when I came to the US, I started working in law firms. My plan was to become an attorney here. But working kind of in family law here, I became more and more interested in, what led people to divorce. And, the issues that I saw with divorcing couples, and then kind of what made a relationship a bad relationship or a good relationship. And sort of what I came around to see was that with many divorces, it seemed like that there was just a lack of communication skills and a lack of understanding in those couples. Other issues too, but I mean that's sort of a theme that ran through those couples. So I decided to get training in counseling and psychology so I could understand that a little bit better. And so I kind of inched out of law and then more into psychology and counseling, and kind of immersed myself in learning about what couples that did well, really sort of what distinguished them from couples that didn't do so well. And, Gottman therapy, John Gottman and the Gottman Institute research was kind of coming to the forefront back then, which was kind of in the early to mid 90s, I'd say, mid 90s probably. And so I started training more in how to help people not divorce and how to help people improve their relationships and before they got to the end point, and just found that a lot more fulfilling really than kind of working on the back end with how to help people divorce. So that's kind of long story short.
Well, that's much better than having to spend all your waking hours watching families break up and going through mediation and custody battles.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So much. It's still hard to watch people process their pain, but in the contrast of seeing their whole lives destroyed and broken up, and it's hard. It's hard.
Very hard. There's a lot of pain and trauma that comes, with couples trying to repair their relationship, but especially when couples are trying to divorce and figure out kids and custody and finances and all of that. It can just get, just very tense and very painful for everybody involved, everybody in the family.
Well, and I've always heard you end up marrying your mother, or you marry your father. So if you grew up in a family where the dynamics with your mother and father weren't very healthy, then you end up taking that with and having to almost rework your child of origin issues so that you can be in a relationship with the spouse who married their mother or father.
Right, that's it. We all bring ourselves and our history to the party, Jill. That's for sure. Yeah.
It's amazing how that works if we only say that. I think one of my most eye-opening things that I learned about myself in therapy is a thing called transference, that if the audience doesn't know. And so what I love to explain to people, in my own definition, when transference is, if there's someone you meet that you don't like for some reason, there's something about them you don't like, they might seem controlling or pushy or whatever it is about them you don't like, I always say to that person, just take your finger and turn it around, because you can't see in them what you don't have in yourself. So if you think they're controlling, 9 times out of 10, you're controlling. If you think they're pushy, 9 times out of 10, you're pushy. So when you can stop and turn the finger inward and look at your own pushiness or your own control, then most times you'll look at that other person and actually connect with them.
That's a really great point. It's something that we talk about actually in Gottman couples therapy. It's called the assumption of similarity, which is, if you're seeing negative traits in your partner, really try and flip that around and look at those traits that you might have yourself,
Mm-hmm.
But most of us are sort of very forgiving of our own mistakes. So what we want to do is try and look at our own negative traits that we attribute to our partner, but also when we're looking at ourselves as very positive, like, I'm the reasonable person here, I'm the generous person here. We also try and attribute those positive traits to the partner as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the flip sides of it,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a really good point.
Well, and I was going to say, not only when you do transference do you look at it on the negative, but the positive. So if I were to look at you right now and say, you have really pretty eyes, I can see that in you because I have pretty eyes. And so vice versa. So I think, I really do believe that, whatever your higher power is, if you believe in creation, I happen to, created us so that we could see each other and be able to then see ourselves. So it's almost like we're a mirror, like there's a mirror going on there. But anyway, I brought that up because that to me really helps me when I'm in my judgment role. It's because of others or whatever. Or not even judging myself. When I'm not kind to myself, I almost sometimes have to stop and look at the good in someone else so I can see the good in myself.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a very powerful skill, I think, to have.
Yeah.
Get yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So you ended up, of all places, in the whole United States in California and started a practice. And so tell me a little bit, in the practice that you have in East Bay, is it predominantly partners and couples, or do you do individual therapy there as well?
Yeah, we do some individual therapy. We're primarily, though, a couples therapy practice.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 therapists in the practice. And, the therapist, the team is really great because everybody is trained in Gottman Method Therapy. But one of the therapists sort of specializes in working with teens and families as well as doing the couples therapy. Another therapist really has a sort of a multicultural, multiracial emphasis just from having lived overseas for many years. So working with some of those cultural issues that come up with couples. And then we have somebody who is, a chief operations officer in, in a past life in a corporation, who really sort of has a business mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of are doing a little bit of coaching now with some of the local tech companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we each have our own little thing, our own sort of specialty. I do a lot of trainings, as you know, and events. I do a lot of workshops, couples workshops, and trainings for therapists. So I do kind of the training piece of it, really, and the other therapists do the couples therapy, and then the teens and families, and the individual therapy as well. So I feel like we cover a lot of bases, but we have sort of an overarching, we really want to be using what we know actually works from research, and what has real substance and data behind it.
And are you utilizing other modalities of therapy in your practice besides Gottman, like, for example, like EMDR or internal family systems therapy or Gestalt, or any other modalities of therapy that people might be aware of?
Yeah, we do a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, so which we're doing a lot of now because things with anxiety and depression levels, we're really seeing, just a real problem. Not that wasn't there before, but it's really exacerbated now with the pandemic stuff and just the unrest and all of that. So cognitive behavioral therapy is very effective in working with anxiety and depression, and so all of the therapists use that modality. We all of us have had like a sort of varied trainings, so to different degrees we do use other modalities, like we'll use emotionally focused couples therapy as well as Gottman. One of our therapists has taught mindfulness, so she uses sort of a lot of mindfulness training in working with anxiety. We do use internal family systems. Most of us have been trained as family therapists, so we, been trained in systems theory and family systems as well. And then kind of going a little bit into sort of the coaching end of things, doing a little bit of executive coaching.
Okay.
All of us have been doing it for a while, so we've been trained in a lot of different
modalities. Yeah.
We want to use the ones that we know are effective.
Yes. And then I know you and I had just met a few months, within about a month, I think, of the coronavirus coming and hitting us. And you had an event in Europe right about a week before everything came to a crashing halt. Can you share a little bit about what that was like in Europe for you, and what kind of experience you had of trying to get back home?
It was really surreal, Jill, because I was teaching a 2-day workshop in Ireland, and 3 days later was supposed to fly to Norway to teach 2 other workshops. And on the first day, things were a lot more heightened when I got to Ireland than they were, in the States when I left. They were much more, sort of getting ready to lock down and shelter in place and all of that. So on the first day of my first training in Ireland, in the morning, my Norwegian people had confirmed with me that I would be teaching the class. And the same afternoon, they had to cancel because their universities and all their agencies were closing. So I was kind of scrambling then to get back to the US. I changed my flight to come back, I think, on a Tuesday. And then the next day, there was an announcement in the States that the flights from Europe were going to be cancelled, except for out of Ireland and the UK. So I think I had to move my flight again. So I think I might have got the last flight out of there, So it was pretty well organized over in Ireland, I would say. But there was a lot of anxiety with people kind of getting on the flight and what was going to happen, and were people sick getting on the flight, and that kind of thing. So it was pretty stressful, and it was kind of disappointing because, I really wanted to go to Norway. I'd never been there before and had a good connection with the group over there. But, hopefully soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll make it back over there. I'm supposed to go back to teach another workshop in Ireland in October. So we'll see if that can happen. I'm not sure if that's going to happen in person or not.
Well, I was interceding over here in prayer for you, because I was like, oh my gosh, they're locking down the United States. Sinead is over there. Is she going to get home? And I was like, oh my goodness sakes. At least, I guess the worst thing that could have happened is you still have family there, correct?
I do.
If you would have been stuck there, at least you would have been with family and not sitting in a hotel room.
No, and the thing was, the day I got back, the next day California went into shelter in place. So I just, I dived across the tape at the right moment.
Good angels were watching over you, that's for sure. Well, what I'd like to ask you then, so since you've been back now, what has social distancing looked like for you now in this realm of your business world? Everybody's had to do business in a different realm. What has that looked like for your practice?
Well, it's been an amazing change, really, because we've switched almost entirely to online therapy sessions. And, really we hadn't done a whole lot of that before. Just, most of us had just done a smidgen of it. But so there was a big ramp up it's a different way to work, if you're talking to people over Zoom, and really sort of trying to connect with people. I find it a lot more difficult. I'm kind of getting used to it, but I'm finding it a lot more difficult. But we certainly had many people cancel because they kind of panicked. I think a lot of people then settled down. We were able to work with them over Zoom. But one of the things I do is called intensive couples therapy, where I'll meet with a couple for 2 to 3 days, kind of either in a row or broken up by a couple of days. So that intensive couples therapy has really gone by the wayside in person, because nobody wants to be in a room with somebody for 6 hours a day.
So can you do that with the couple on a Zoom though?
Yeah, we could do it on Zoom, Jill, but it's pretty exhausting. I've done it now a couple of times, but it's just hard for people to be in front of a screen for that long, and so that's really, I would say, has been the biggest challenge. And then also, we really love our clients. We love sort of getting in there with them and just sort of having that in-person connection. And I think there's a sense of loss for the therapists in the group that we don't have that, We're starting now to be able to see people in person. We're working out of using some of our bigger office spaces to have enough social distance. But I think people are really wanting to come back in person. I think everybody's just done with the, working all day on a screen, then doing therapy on a screen, and kind of looking for, just ways to connect. So, in the past week or so, we've definitely had more, people interested in setting up in-person sessions. But, all of our events, really, we've had to change up the way we're doing them. So we're doing, instead of doing live trainings for therapists, we're doing, moderated online therapy, where therapists will watch some videos and then we'll come in with the question and answer session live. And the group is on a Zoom screen and stuff like that. So we had to kind of adapt pretty quickly, I think, like most workplaces, we had to, and some good things have come out of it, and and also it's been a challenge.
I think the one thing that I've heard a lot of is that the therapists are literally 2 times more exhausted, because sitting in a therapy office with, say, couches and some easy chairs and there's space and stuff, and then sitting and just staring at someone's eyes for an hour or two, what you said, is so much more draining. And then it's got to be difficult too for the therapist to assess the client's needs, because you guys utilize body language so much, and
Yeah.
it's hard to see body language from the face up.
Right.
That's
right.
all you're seeing, and you're not seeing, if they're crossing their legs, or it's just hard. And if the difficult part with couples is, while they're on the Zoom, they have to look at the screen. Whereas in an office, one partner might be talking and the other's like looking away, or they're they're not tracking, and you can see that with body language to read the couple, and it's losing its essence of the body language, because the couple's actually having to just stare at you, and you're having to figure out, what are they thinking, what are they needing right now.
Exactly. So that's where it's handy to be a little bit bossy like me, and tell the couple, talk to each other, don't talk to me, face each other. Or I'll tell people, can you just move back from the screen a little bit so I can sort of see how you're doing. So it helps to be, it's the Irish bossiness in me, Jill. It helps me on Zoom calls.
I'm gonna use that, because I have a smidgen of Irish in me, so I'll use that when I'm a little, my bossy parts come out. I've got Greek, Irish, and German. Go figure that one.
Okay. Well, you should have no problem.
Oh my goodness sakes! It's funny growing up with that blend. My grandfather was from Greece, and my mother was Greek, Irish, and my dad's the strong German. And people would say, "You don't look Greek at all." And I said, "Oh yes, I do. Athena had blonde hair and blue eyes, so I'm a Greek goddess." So I just tell people I'm a Greek goddess. So
it works.
That settles it.
For you. Yeah.
So here we are into June already, Sinead, and so a lot of people who like to, I'm not one, but some people are, people who like to set goals at the beginning of the year. Generally, by March, they've broken those goals or changed them. And so here we are. If we started our goals in January and things started to slip away in March, all of a sudden March became the new norm for January, and we had to reset again. We had to reset, Groundhog's Day. So what are your goals or dreams for the remainder of this year?
Oh, well, dreams. One of my dreams is that colleges reopen in the fall, because I have a son who just graduated high school who has been just dying to go to college. So we're just really, a dream would be that all happens in the fall and he gets to go off, and he's going to the East Coast, far away from us, but we're really happy for him. So hopefully that will happen. I think I would really love to get back to doing my events, my in-person workshops. I just get so much energy from those couples workshops and the therapist trainings, So that's a dream. It's also a goal, because, we've had to adapt and move, like I said, some of the trainings, like to be sort of a hybrid online, in person, moderated thing. So I'm really, trying to reset the number of events I was scheduled to do. And, hopefully we'll be able to, get through some of those. I'm hoping to do at least a couple of in-person couples workshops this year. That's my goal. I'm really trying to figure out now how we can do that with the social distancing and everything. And I just hope that the level of anxiety and unease for all of us really can drop some, over the year. I think it's, whether people are kind of consciously struggling with the shelter in place, or just the sort of sense of where are we going to be next year, what's going to happen with the economy, all of that. That does create sort of a background amount of stress that, my dream would be that starts to subside, and we start to feel kind of as a society a bit more stable, and and that we've stuff to look forward to. I think the hard thing is that, a lot of people have lost a lot, and there's not that much positive to look forward to. So that would be
things are to let the audience know, things are getting hopeful, and I can say I was in outside sales for 38 years of my career. And 15 of those years, I used to sell air freight and truck freight shipping services. And it was really interesting because when I sold shipping services, shipping is the front line to knowing how the economy is going to go, because if products are moving from distribution to store, you know the economy's picking up. If goods are not transporting, you know the economy is going stagnant. So it was funny, back in those days, I was a single, never married mom, so I was just working and I never had time to listen to news and read newspapers. So I could literally speculate the economy by shipping. It was really weird. It was like I could tell. And so I'm going to share this with you because this is how I'm doing my speculation too, because so many of us are so confused with the craziness with media. We don't know what's going on here. Is this right? Is this and so we're left in a state of confusion because we really don't know who's telling us what's really going on. And so I live in Branson, Missouri, and Branson, Missouri is 98% tourism. We don't have any corporate offices here. We're not an industry city whatsoever. So the majority of business here is shows, restaurants, and the hotel industry and tourism, so in amusement parks. So when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, like no one had a job, like zero. The only ones still working were people that maybe could still do some landscaping and a little bit of construction. But other than that, there was like no one working. And a lot of the people who live here, many of them live on minimum wage because, it's hotel industry, it's amusement parks. So it got pretty scary here for the people here. And, I'm proud to say we are the Bible Belt here. So the churches just band together to whatever resources to help the impoverished people because they really had, no food. They really got pretty severe. So I'm sharing that because the good news is our governor opened up the state a couple of weeks ago, and the shows are opening now. The restaurants are opening. Silver Dollar City, which is our biggest amusement park, a mile from my home, opens next week, and that probably employs about 1/3 of the population here in Branson. So they're going back to work, and so I'm smiling because I feel like that's positive and hopeful, and they're just a couple hours from here in the Lake of the Ozarks over Memorial Day weekend. They opened up all the beaches and resorts, and there were thousands and thousands of people on the beach. And so we've been, 2 weeks out of Memorial Day weekend, and there hasn't been any outburst of the corona. And there were like so many people together. So that's good. I mean, I think that's just positive to report back and let people know that I really do feel it's hopeful. And our church actually opened up 3 weeks ago with social distancing, and we did it beautifully. We have 3 auditoriums, so we opened all 3, and then we opened up one whole section of our parking lot with chairs and a big widescreen TV, and then there's a spot where people can just pull their convertibles in and sit in the car with the convertible and watch the screen. So they've done it very well, like every other row, every fifth seat, and it's been nice. So
that sounds great. I mean, we all have to be creative about how we get back to the world, and it looks like the social distancing thing will be here with us for a while. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah. So I just wanted to report that because it is good news, and and being that we're a tourist city, I think it's good to report in from a tourist city because we're bringing people in from all over the United States and into our city. And our swimming pool's all open, so I'm grateful because I teach water aerobics, so I'm back in the pool. So that's that. So Getaway Experience, we kind of talked a little bit. So a Getaway Experience to you would be doing your events again. And do you have any specific regions that you'd like to do a Getaway Experience?
Well, I would love to go to Norway since I feel like I was cheated out of that in March. So I'd love to do that. I mean, and for events, and sort of getting back to Europe and stuff. I'm hoping also to, if my son ends up, starting college on the East Coast, going over there. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on the East Coast, so I'm kind of looking forward to that as a getaway and something new.
What city is he going to be in?
He's going to be in Princeton, New Jersey.
Oh, in New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd love to visit there. I've heard it's really nice. And, I'd love to do a getaway, just a vacation with the family before he leaves for college. So I'm looking at your beautiful background, and, Hawaii is one of the places that we've spent quite a bit of time as a family on vacation, where we just snorkel and do nothing really. So I'd love to do that. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to happen either, but we can dream.
Yeah, that's why life you have to have dreams in life, because it's just with positivity. And my new go-to place, and so I'll share it with you when we're offline, is I found the most amazing 3 villas in side by side in Aruba, and it's got its own the villa has its own private swimming pool. It's got its own little cove, like private cove beach. And it's got a living room, dining room, family room, 6 bedrooms, 6 bath, and it's just amazing. And it looks exactly like this picture, like exactly.
Oh, wow. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
So when they open Aruba again, I will definitely let you know, because if you want a getaway experience there, I'll plan it for you for the family in Aruba, because the snorkeling is amazing. And I found my favorite restaurant. It's called the Flying Fishbone, and you walk in and everyone's barefoot, and half of the tables are in water about this deep. So you actually sit with your feet in the water and have fresh fish. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yes. And I do have some spots for you on the East Coast, and we definitely have to do Branson for sure.
Branson, I was gonna say, I definitely want to get over there. I've heard so much about it over the years too.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fun trip.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and a getaway experience. So we can do your couples thing, and if it's before your son goes back to school, bring him with, because there's so many venues in Branson he would absolutely love. Zip lining, and I mean, they've got everything here, everything in Branson. So
yeah.
So last but not least, I'd like to ask you, if somebody told you you had to get rid of all your apps on your phone and you could only keep 2, what's your 2 must-have apps?
My 2 must-have apps. Well, WhatsApp.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in so many WhatsApp groups with family in Ireland. My aunties, my cousins, my parents, my siblings, different, and it's been an amazing way actually to stay in touch with people that I wouldn't normally have as much contact with, to be honest with you. So that's a must keep. Probably the other one would be Audible. So I've been enjoying sort of being out walking with the dog a little bit more, and one thing to sort of take my mind off stuff is that I'll listen to kind of fiction novels on my headphones when we're out for a walk, and that is I've just really enjoyed that, and having a little bit more time to listen to books out on walks I've really enjoyed as well. So they would be, just off the top of my head, the 2 right now that I would, I really don't want to give those up. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to get a mini training with you on the WhatsApp app, because when I was in Aruba, that's the only one they use. But then I can't figure out sometimes how to use it if the person's not on the internet. So we'll talk offline so I can learn, because I kept trying to call and I didn't know if I was doing it right. So I kind of was like, I'm not sure how to use this. So I need a little bit of training in that one. And then the last question I'd like to ask you is, what's one fun fact about you? Something you've done in your life that maybe many people don't know about you?
I can't think of anything that's super fun. Well, I can think of a lot of fun things, but they're not really that interesting. But I will say that about a year and a half ago, I've always wanted a dog. I got my first dog, And my dog, I think, has saved. Everybody should have a dog in quarantine, people. That's all I can say. This dog is now on our Instagram feed for the practice. The dog has just been like the best thing I've ever done, and is, we're just having so much fun with them right now. It's not this like crazy accomplishment or achievement, but I think in the times that we're in, I think like small fun facts are probably all I can come up with. So that's it. I got my first dog at the age of at the ripe old age that I am now. And,
so you now have a therapy dog. What's your therapy dog's name?
His name is Watson.
Watson?
Watson the corgi. Yeah.
Is that Watson?
Yeah.
It reminds me of like an English investigator. Watson.
Right.
Watson.
What we found out was there's a dog that lives 2 doors up our street, and his name was Sherlock.
Sherlock and Watson. Well, I have to ask you, have you kissed the Blarney Stone?
I did kiss the Blarney Stone. Yeah, but I mean, like at about 40 years ago. And I'm sort of embarrassed to say that I did, because that is just, Irish people do not do that. That is strictly for tourists only. But I did. I had to give it a go. Yeah.
Well, my son kissed the Blarney Stone. He had the privilege of doing a study abroad when he was a junior in college, and he lived in Perderno del Grappo, Italy, right outside of Venice. And he flew into Dublin before his semester began, and he spent 5 days there and absolutely loved it. Loved it.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Well, what I'm going to do now is put your bio up on the screen, and this is how you can reach out to Sinead. It's got her website on it and her Facebook page, so feel free to jot that down. And I just wanted to say before we signed off then today is to let the audience know that the Connection Show has started in the last, just I'd say a couple of weeks now, interviewing wonderful leaders just like Sinead. And we do love to reach out to other leaders who would love to be on the show. So to connect with me, please go to braveheartworkshops.com, fill out the contact form, and then I'll get back with you to schedule a time so that I can interview as well. And for the audience, you are so valued on this show. We love having you. We love you listening to all these wonderful leaders. And so we've gone ahead and we've created a show just for you. So every Monday night now, we're doing a Zoom Connection Show Gathering Tribe group. And to get into that Zoom meeting, I will be posting under the video on Facebook the Facebook page. It's a private page, so you do have to join the page so that I can give you the password to come and join us on Monday nights. We meet at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific Time. Now, some of our leaders, when their schedules warrant, have been coming in. Last week, we actually had 4 leaders join the group, and it was an amazing talk. Last week, we talked about how the riots and the event with Floyd has affected them, and so it was a really heavy conversation last week, but a much-needed one. People needed to have a voice and share how they were feeling. But the week before, we did improv, and we were laughing and belly laughing and just having a blast. And we're going to do some games, and then we might do some heaviness. But it's just an opportunity for you to connect with others, have a voice, and meet new people. So please join us on that Monday night Zoom. And so that's all I really need to share for us today with the Braveheart Workshops. But we're so grateful, Sinead, that you took time out of your busy schedule to share with us. And everyone, please keep an eye out on our website, because we are looking at dates for Sinead and her partner that she does workshops with, Michael, to come to Branson, hopefully, and other parts of the country as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jill. Great to be with you.
Love you, dear. Bye-bye now.
Let's connect now. We can dream together.
together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life. Go to braveheartworkshops.com. Join me for weekly Zoom connections on Facebook at facebook.com/Braveheart Workshops. Thanks so much for joining the show, and we look forward to seeing you on